You're listening to the Play Therapy Podcast with Dr. Brenna Hicks, your source for centered and focused play therapy coaching.
Hi, I'm Dr. Brenna Hicks, the Kid Counselor. This is the Play Therapy Podcast, where you get a masterclass in child-centered play therapy and practical support and application for your work with children and their families. Today, we're talking about another family and nurturance theme. And this one is failed nurturing. I briefly mentioned it last episode. And this is still within the nurturing category, kind of the umbrella. So it's helpful to think about this in terms of a flow chart, if you will, maybe. So at the top, we have the family and nurturance themes. So there are, maybe 9 or 10 themes within the family and nurturing theme category, right? And then we have the nurturing and caregiving theme as another subcategory of that. But then within the nurturing and caregiving theme, down arrow to nurturing, self-nurturing, failed nurturing. So you can kind of think of it as a down arrow flow chart, if you will, if that helps you visualize how this lands in the thematic world here for the child-centered model. So failed nurturing is any time that a child uses nurturing activities, but they are negative toward the person that is supposed to be nurtured. So let me unpack that a little bit. So they use any type of nurturing activity, which if you think back 2 curriculum episodes ago, where we were talking about the nurturing theme as a whole. So there's feeding and doctoring and hugging and holding and all of those gentle nurturing and caregiving types of activities. So if you think about that in the failed nurturing context, you get nurturing type of activities, but they're negative. So the character would withhold those things from another. So, the baby or an animal or even the child as self is saying, but I want you to hug me. And then another character says, no, you don't get a hug. Or something like that. So you have the nurturing activities, but they are negative so that the character withholds nurturing from another one, or a character needs nurturance and doesn't get any, or one is being abusive toward another. They're neglecting or caring poorly for someone. So for example, the baby is picked up and it's being held and then it's intentionally dropped, or one character punishes another. So there's all of these options as far as failed nurturing. So it's helpful to kind of tease apart. Nurturing is positive toward someone else. Self-nurturing is positive toward self. Failed nurturing is withheld or neglected, or there's a negative bent toward nurturing activities. So I hope that kind of helps make sense of that. So when you have failed nurturing, there are a couple of meanings that it can mean for the child. So the first is they might actually be demonstrating and presenting current or past experiences of these things. So if they have a history of abuse or neglect or poor care or lack of attachment to parents, if they've been in the foster care system, if they've been moved from different caregivers. So I went to live with aunt and then I went to live with dad and then I went to live with grandma. So if there's any current or past experience of failed nurturing, they will play that out as part of their healing process. If you do not know of any past or current experience that would align with that, there are a couple of other options that could be driving that theme. They might actually be punishing their self in younger form for thoughts or actions or anything they may have done in the past that they are ashamed of or guilty of, or they were punished for and they know that it was wrong. So sometimes they actually are using failed nurturing as a punishment for themselves if they can identify their thoughts or actions or behaviors that they have done historically or previously need retribution of sorts. So that is another reason why you might see failed nurturing play. And then finally, sometimes if the child has younger siblings, they will play out failed nurturing in a way of expressing jealousy or anger toward a younger sibling. So, and I think I actually see that rationale more than the other two. When I see failed nurturing play, it usually is jealousy or anger toward a younger sibling. And I do see evidence that they sometimes will punish themselves. So I see that one as well. But I would say if I had to rate which ones I see most often, it's typically expressing jealousy or anger toward a younger sibling. And that's not necessarily that the sibling has just newly been born. It's not that there's like a baby in the house necessarily. It's just younger sibling is an easy target for failed nurturing. And that's the way that they channel that jealousy and frustration and anger and annoyance of the younger sibling needing time and attention and affection and all of those things. So failed nurturing, negative bent on nurturing type of activities where nurturing is withheld, a character doesn't get any but needs it, there's any kind of abusive behavior, neglect, poor care, or punishment, that falls under the failed nurturing category. So we have now wrapped up the nurturing themes within the family and nurturance themes. And so next time we're moving into neglect, abuse, or punishment of the self. And that is a little closely tied to the failed nurturing, but it kind of has its own unique spin, and the way it manifests itself in the playroom is a little bit different. So we're going to be addressing that theme next time. If you are interested in connecting with me, please email me, Brenna@thekidcounselor.com. If you're interested in more therapy training, you can go to playtherapynow.com and fill out the form, and I'll be in touch with you. We have groups forming for September. So if you are interested in training with me, I have some opportunities at playtherapynow.com. As always, I'm very grateful for your time. Thanks for spending a little bit of your week with me. We'll talk again soon. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Play Therapy Podcast with Dr. Brenna Hicks. For more episodes and resources, please go to www.playtherapypodcast.com.